Hello, everyone, and welcome to the lecture on motivational theory of lifespan development. This is a theory that typically is not included in lifespan development books or textbooks. This is something I kind of found out and about more or less in the counseling psychology or the developmental psychology literature. But I think this really is an important theory. I think that could be very helpful to clinicians. And I think this is also a really good supplemental theory that can connect very well to developmental theories and also a counseling theory that you're using. So this is, and I think this applies to just about everyone on the lifespan. I want to run through this with you, and there's also an article that I've extracted a lot of this theoretical content from, so you'll be able to read that as well if you want. So let's begin. Okay, so there's principles. I'm just going to call it the motivational theory. There's principles. There's four different principles of the motivational theory here, and first and foremost, this isn't a principle. This is just a main, a main tenet of it is that motivation is really the catalyst of movement, and it's the catalyst for change and moving forward. And the person themselves is, they are the active participant in their goal attainment. And let me just also connect this to Adlerian theory really quick, because if you're a fan of Adler, Adler very much was in favor of something called the teleological perspective, or I don't know if it's of humanity or what, but the teleological perspective states that people are forward moving types of we're a forward moving species, that we like to set goals for ourselves, and we like to move towards those goals by working to meet those goals. And that future orientation of goal attainment, it helps us to have meaning and purpose in life. And I think that this theory, this motivational theory, is actually kind of like the nuts and bolts of how that actually works on where the rubber meets the road. So if you're a fan of Adler, that's a way that you can think of this specific theory. So the first principle that I'd like to speak about is that motivational theory talks about the adaptation of goals over the lifespan. That just because you set goals A, B, and C doesn't mean that they're not up for revision and change. And people need to, and as people weigh out their options, and is this goal attainable, and maybe it's not attainable in its current state, so let's adapt it and change it so that way we can have a desired outcome and avoid maybe an undesired outcome or failure. So goals can change as you move across the lifespan in terms of what they can look like. Also, that people just have a desired outcomes about goals. That our goals are socially influenced, uh, and also goals are about not only the process but also achievement. So, there are goals of process, like increasing your overall competence, maybe in your job, and also your goal of achievement in your career. So they go hand in hand in terms of process and achievement. Goals can be general and also specific. So you, as being a graduate school or a graduate student, your general goal for the next couple of years, is to graduate with your master's in counseling and move into a career. And maybe your goal for this semester would be to pass your midterm and your final for a class. So goals need to be not only seen as maybe just the long-term goal, but also several short-term goals that lead to the achievement of the long-term goal. Goals typically reach 5 to 10 years into the future. So I think that that it's far enough away that you can look to the future and kind of see it. You can see the light at the end of the tunnel, but it's not so far away that it's vague, abstract, and doesn't even seem real. So goals have to be close enough to you temporally that you're going to be motivated to work towards them. Third is the opportunities change, is that things in life affect our goals. We're living life on life's terms, and things change, and sometimes they're expected changes, sometimes they're unexpected changes. So we have to adjust our goals as life happens. There's also the inverted U-shaped curve of control, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in coming slides. But really, what that is when we're young in life, when we're children or adolescents, we have very little control in life, and as we get older, we gain control in life. And during the majority of our adulthood, we do have more kinds of control in our lives than when we did when we were younger. But then as we get older, we begin to lose control again. So it's that inverted U-shaped curve. Also, time is going to, at least to some extent, structure and challenge a person's ability to complete goals. We have to think about age-related goals, time-related goals. Now, once again, time only partially structures this. So, but it definitely is a variable that we have to take into account, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in the coming slides. Also, goal selection and compensating for failure. So, we do two things: that we can only select so many goals because there's only a finite amount of time and energy that we can spend pursuing those goals. So we don't have unlimited resources. We don't have unlimited time. That we need to choose the goals in life that are the most important to us, and then figure out how we're going to obtain those goals. We also have to compensate for failed goals and readjust them so they are attainable. So, we work what we can. We work toward what we can do, and we figure out, is this attainable? And if not, we readjust them, or we compensate for the failed goals that we couldn't achieve. So in counseling, you're thinking to yourself, how might I use this in therapy with a student, or with a client? Uh, you know, Part of our goal might be to help our clients or students adapt or adjust their goals as need be. Also, help people identify their desired outcomes about life, and are they reasonable or unreasonable? And a lot of times, I think people have these arbitrary goals in life that they haven't really sat down and concretely planned out in terms of how they're going to accomplish all this. And in therapy, if you can hold their feet to the fire to do that, they might come to the realization that, hey, maybe these goals are just kind of things that just can't happen, or they're unattainable, and I'm setting myself up for failure. You might also be able to help map out general and specific goals. That's always fun to do, and help them see their future. And once again, that goes back to Adler's teleological principle. Excuse me. So there's three models that consist of the motivational theory of lifespan development. And the thing is this is kind of like one big conglomerate type of a theory with a lot of different moving parts that maybe kind of work together, and maybe some parts will be applicable to your client and their conceptualization. Others might not be. So I think you need to just come to understand what this model is and what it can offer, and then take from it what you need given your client's situation. So the first one is going to be lifespan theory of control. We're going to start with that one. Um, and what this theory proposes, this is one of the more basic ones, and I think this has been connected to and added on to the additional theories that we're going to talk about. People have primary and secondary control strategies, and both of them aim to maximize primary control in life. So and I'm going to talk first. I'm going to talk about what each one of those are. Or each one of them is. So primary control strategies is a person's direct ability to influence, change, manipulate, control a situation, a context, an environment. So an example of that is, let's say you got a new job as a counselor, and let's say in a mental health agency, and they show you to your new office, and you walk in, and you automatically see the paint color in the office as this terrible color that you hate, and you look at your supervisor and you say, I got to paint this office. This color is hideous, and I'm going to do that. I'm going to come in on the weekend and do that. And they say, okay. So you have the ability and the control to paint the color of your office any color you want. However, let's say, okay, so that's an example of primary control. Secondary control is something that you don't have control over. That instead of being able to manipulate, change, or adjust something in the environment or in a context, you're not allowed to, and you have to change something about yourself internally to fit with that context or that environment or that situation. So the example, going back to walking into your office and seeing the paint that on the wall that you don't like, you look to your supervisor and say, I really need to change this paint color, it's terrible. And they say, absolutely not, you're not allowed to do that, just deal with it. Well, having a secondary control strategy would be, okay, I'm going to deal with it. I'm going to maybe hang some pictures. I'm going to learn to like this hideous color that's in my office, and just work with it. So that is primary versus secondary control strategies. It's, being able to change something directly versus, well, maybe I need to change something about myself to fit in to the situation. Now, the ideal is to maximize your primary control across all the different dimensions of life. So work, family, health, relationships, everything. That the more control you have in your life, that's, the better you are. And many points, during your life. So, younger adulthood, middle adulthood, older adulthood. If you can stretch out that time period where you can have maximum primary control in your life, from this theoretical standpoint, that is going to be a good thing. So principles of lifespan theory. So, control will change across the lifespan. We talked about the inverted U-shaped curve. You have less control in childhood. And then as you become an adult, you have more control. And then, as you get older, you start to, have less control in life. And I think we all know what those, what those examples might be. So primary control will decrease with age, and from there, secondary control will begin to increase. And the secondary control helps us to compensate for the loss of our primary control in life. So we're able to adjust our expectations, adjust our goals, and adjust our attributions. So that helps to kind of take the sting out of the loss of the primary control. So the field of action, which is also what can be seen as the field of the lifespan, or in general, some events in life are more likely to occur at some points on the lifespan, and different opportunities are going to be more optimal at specific points in the lifespan. But these are just guesstimations, or I guess I want to say they're not absolutes, because these examples can kind of see that that things can happen out of the normally expected time for when something's supposed to happen. So having children in your 40s, like that happens all the time, but typically people have children in their 20s and 30s, but you can have children in your 40s. Going to college in your 60s can happen, even though that the typical trajectory is you graduate from high school and then you transition right into college or shortly after high school. But once again, people are going to college in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and beyond. Even retiring in your 20s. Now, that's not a common thing, but maybe you just invested in the right stock and it blew through the roof, and you were able to partially retire or fully retire at a younger age than you thought. So things can happen out of time, and that's okay. But we all know typically when I guess society expects us to go to college, when to retire, when to have kids, that's but that's not always the case. So everyone's a little different. Goal optimization is one. You have to select the right goals and then use the following. Is that, first off, you have to match your goals to the opportunities that are given to you. So where are you on the lifespan? How old are you? Biological, societal. There's a lot of things that you have to think about, what opportunities or what your resources are when you think about achieving a goal or pursuing a goal. Because do you have time? Do you have energy? Do you have the biological ability? All of those things. Goal management, in the long-term consequences, is that you have to manage your goals appropriately. That this goal at least talks about diversification of your goals, and then you don't put too many eggs in one basket. So you don't want one of your goal dimensions to overpower on other ones. So the example here is that maybe your goal is to have a family and also to have a thriving career. Well, you don't want to spend all your time at work pursuing your career goal, because that's going to neglect your family goals, and that might cause some readjustments in your family if your significant other leaves you, and your kids hate you. So there's goal management, diversity of goals. Having goals for many dimensions of life. So yeah, that's that you don't just you just don't have one goal. You don't have one career goal, or just a family goal, or just an education goal. Now, the thing is this, is that we're all different. And some people can have, let's say, multiple goals that are attainable and that are within the next, 5 to 10 to 15 years. And they can do that, and they want to do that. And that's what their interest lies and their motivation lies. Some people might just have two goals, or maybe just one. I don't know. And I don't know if I would necessarily uh, shame somebody for having just one goal in life or just two goals in life. Some people just are, I think we just have to feel it out and see, what in fact do people want out of life. Some people are going to want more out of life, and they'll be able to do less with each goal. Or some people just want, like, let's say, one or two things out of life, and they're able to put a lot of time and a lot of energy into those two things and do them very well. So part of it is just figuring out what your clients want. And this is something that maybe that you could think about for you, and maybe this could be something that you want to bring up on the discussion board, in terms of how many goals do you have, how are you managing them, and what are your resources in terms of being able to accomplish these goals. Okay, in counseling, so how are we going to use this? We're going to help people discover, what their primary control, what they have in terms of what kind of primary control they have, and what their secondary control strategies would be on things they don't have primary control over. Build strategies on how to build up primary and secondary control. Looking at peak opportunities of specific goal pursuing, and see what in fact they could accomplish if they put their mind to it. Encouraging off time types of pursuits if attainable. That if somebody always wanted to go back and become go back to graduate school and become something, and maybe let's look into that. Is that attainable, and how would we spell that out over in short-term goals over the next few years, things like that. And also what kind of goals are right for them. Maybe they're going to come in with a whole laundry list of goals that they want to attain, and and then you're going to help them prioritize. Maybe they've never thought about goals, or maybe they have these arbitrary abstract goals in their head, and they're just somehow, muddling through life and not really, pursuing them. And you can help them, tie some of those down. The model of optimization of primary and secondary control. This deals with pursuing goals and disengaging from goals. When pursuing, you want to make sure that you have selective primary control strategies, like that the time and energy is invested in pursuing the goal. That there's some secondary control strategies going on in terms of mentally pursuing the goal. So really what this is are they actually pursuing the goal, and are they pursuing the goal in their heads at the same time? Are they keeping their heads in the game and thinking about the goal and how can I do this while they go ahead and do this? And then also, compensatory primary control is when we ask for help when we need it. Whether it's from family, friends, significant others, whatever. People you work with, your bosses, supervisors. How can we, when we need help, how do we reach out to others? And that's an important part. When disengaging from a goal, we're going to use these secondary control strategies that we're going to decide not to pursue the goal any longer. We're going to make that decision. We're going to distance ourselves from that goal. And sometimes it's a way, of just devaluing the goal, saying, well, it wasn't really that important to begin with. it wouldn't do me any good in the future if I got that degree, or if I, got that promotion, or if I, or if we decided not to have, that third child, that's okay, because, we can really only afford two, or life will be better with just two financially. And decreasing its importance. It's good to, it's good to put psychological distance between yourself and that goal, in order to help with the mourning process, because we will grieve the loss of that goal. Also, self protection, avoiding any kind of blame, and focusing on other successes. So it's really not, just, we're not going to think about it anymore. We're going to focus on what we can achieve. Kind of reminds me of the attribution theory. Uh, uh, okay, so let's move on. Thus, when we pursue goals, we actively engage by action, we actively engage by thought, and we get help when we need to. When we disengage by action and by thought. So in counseling, once again, we're going to construct strategies with our clients to help them complete their goals, regardless of the type of goals, and we're going to promote a sense of responsibility in the client. So, if they can take responsibility for it, then it's going to increase their motivation. The action phase model of developmental regulation, and this involves goal engagement and disengagement. Like I said before, opportunities for specific goals are going to come to us. They're going to emerge. They're going to peak. You're going to have a peak time, and then they're going to decline and disappear. But at the same time, well, yeah, and there are optimal times. There's going to be times that I think that it's going to be more convenient or easier to pursue a specific goal than other times, and if you can pursue that goal at that optimal time, that's going to be that'll be best, and it'll increase your chances of succeeding. And then also, emotional distress can affect goal disengagement. So if sometimes when you let a goal go, and you're really attached to it, and you really wanted that, and you let it go, it can cause some problems. Goal deadlines is what I like to use in terms of conceptualization, and also when I work with clients, is that people do have goal deadlines, and sometimes they're very specific and written down. Other times they're just like, well, I know once I get to my mid 40s, it's going to be harder to go back to school, or it's going to be harder to have that child, or it's going to be harder to get promoted and move on. So, as time passes, the urgency to achieve a goal will increase, and you're going to have to put even more energy to it. It's crunch time, and people got to either get with it, or begin to think about letting it go. And they may disengage because they might think, well, it's just unattainable at this time, and it could spill over into other areas of life. So in counseling, you're going to help people to make the decision to pursue a goal or let it go, and then help them, and if they let it go, help them grieve the loss of the goal, and do a little bit of grief work, and then also help them to, maybe put the goal in its place, in a sense of, well, maybe it wasn't that important to begin with, but I have these other 3 goals that I'm really going to pursue now and put all my energy into. So, all right, well, that's the lecture on motivational theory of lifespan development. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. If not, have a great week.